How's it going, everybody? I'm Gab, the KiRBiZOiD, and I want to talk about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. You may be asking right now, hey Gab, didn't you, already do this on a stream? And while, yes, I did, I feel like I didn't give my opinion justice. For those who didn't know, while I was trying to have a consistent discussion on the movie, which, takes a fair amount of brain power to do, I was also trying to play Super Mario Galaxy at the same time. I guess my brain is considering that people with, the TikTok attention spans might be watching the stream, so, looking back, that was a pretty dumb idea, and honestly, I should have just talked, maybe put some graphics on the screen and, just allowed my brain to fully focus on the conversation if that was what I was trying to, target the stream. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my thoughts about the Mario movie. This is just going to be a video of me kind of going through some bullet points about my thoughts about the movie, what I liked, what I didn't like, and, if there's something I don't talk about in this video that you would like to hear more on, let me know in the comments down below, or let me know during my live streams, put a chat message in there, and yeah, I'm more than happy to have a bit of back and forth. And speaking of streams, for those that don't know, I do streams every Friday here on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe so as to not miss those streams and more videos from yours truly when they come out. Without further ado, let's get into it, but first, this video is free from any major spoilers, and I will only discuss things that have already been shown in the trailers. I cannot show any of the footage in the trailers. I can't do any of that because Universal is such an amazing company that they'll copyright claim it if you show even a second of footage. So we're just going to be putting some Mario game footage. I don't know of what just yet, but enjoy that in the background while I talk about this. And without further ado, let's actually get right into it. Overall, this movie is an amazing 90 minutes full of non-stop action and Mario references that made my face hurt from smiling the entire time. However, outside of that, in terms of, it being an actual movie, it's pretty good at best. We're going to be talking about more of that, but first I want to talk about the relationships of the characters. It sounds like a weird thing to start up on, but bear with me. The relationships of the characters in this movie are just really fun to watch. Some of my favorites were Bowser's just jealousy for Mario. As soon as he finds out that Mario has been picked up by Peach and is traveling with Peach, Bowser just gets absolutely livid anytime, he sees any form of flirting or conversation between Mario and Peach. The entire movie, he's trying to marry Peach, which is a plot that happens in Mario Odyssey, the Super Mario Bros. Adventures comics, which are really good. Highly recommend you read them. It's just, that's his driving force for the movie, is using the superstar to take over the Mushroom Kingdom, but also marry Peach, because he just loves her. And that's just... you can't hate love. But it's just really funny, his hatred for Mario, because anytime they talk or flirt or any of that, he just gets, visibly really pissed off. And it's just super funny that that is his driving force, and that's how he gets more powerful, more or less. It's just seeing Mario and Peach existing together. And I guess in terms of Bowser and Peach, it's just really funny because Peach doesn't take any of it from Bowser, and he's pretty much just a tier 3 sub, seeing that his queen has any form of a boy in her life, and it's just super funny to watch. It was one of my favorite parts about the movie, was just seeing Bowser hate Mario just because he was in his queen's vicinity, and it was, I just love that. It was really funny. Mario and Donkey Kong have this really nice rivalry between each other, and mostly it is completely just DK bullying and jabbing at him, and it's just DK just being an asshole. But near the end of the movie, they start to respect each other just a little more, and they start to just, bully and jab, mostly from Donkey Kong, but it's in a term of endearment. He's just never fully respecting Mario, but he does it in a sense of yeah, you're pretty cool, but I still hate you though. I still think you're dumb. I still think you're annoying, and I don't like you still. I just like that. It's just, it's not a rivalry where it's we hate each other, and then plot point happens, and now they suddenly like each other, they suddenly respect each other, and they're yeah, you're pretty alright. No, it still exists. DK still is bullying Mario, but you can tell that he does it in a different way, and it's just nice, The perfect ending doesn't fully exist, because then you can have that rivalry exist and coexist in further movies, and you can have that dynamic continue to develop as the movies go on, and if you want to turn it into a rivals turned good friends, you can do that, but at least, if you're stretching that out between multiple movies and not trying to cram it into one movie, it feels more deserved, and it feels more interesting to watch that develop over the, it's not possible, but over the obvious future movies that are going to happen with the success of this movie. I kind of talked about it a little bit with the Mario and Bowser part, but Peach and Mario have like 1 or 2 scenes of them flirting, just like the idea of like, maybe they'll get together. You don't know. But weirdly, I prefer the flirting scenes. Like, I prefer that not being the center stage of their relationship in this movie, because it feels like the rest of their interactions, it just really has this nice friendship that starts to grow and, become more established as they travel. It just feels like this nice platonic relationship that was unironically really fun to watch. And honestly, I really do prefer this, because she's just like, you're okay, mustache, and Mario's just like, you're the princess, I guess. That's Mario's voice. Yeah. But I just like how they are much more platonic in the first movie. And again, it's similar to Donkey Kong, where it's like, it's not, especially with how short the movie is, it doesn't feel like this rushed relationship that happens. It is still going to develop as, as the movies progress, and maybe Mario gets the girl, but right now, they just have a really good relationship. And, a good romantic relationship has to start from somewhere, at least for it to be healthy. And so it's just nice to see that this movie only wants to establish that Mario and Peach enjoy being friends at this point. And it's, again, this is talking about the Mario movie. I understand that, but still, I just found this like platonic relationship during this movie. I found that to be really nice, and I found that to be much more enjoyable than trying to force a romance starting, like in the second half of the movie. I just like that a lot more. Mario and Luigi just have this bond with each other, and it's shown at the very beginning, and then it isn't really shown again until one scene in the middle, and then, the end of the movie. But man, whenever they are together, it's just bliss. It's just like this perfect bliss of watching these two guys just really care for each other. Genuinely, while I wish they had more screen time, I just love what we got with Mario and Luigi showing their teamwork together, their bond, and then when they get separated, you still feel like they genuinely care for each other, and they are the driving force to get back together. Or it's mostly Luigi just kind of being there and being like, I miss Mario, and then Mario being like, I got to find Luigi. He's my brother and I care about him. The fact that Luigi's the damsel in distress in this movie, and that is Mario's driving force to get to the end and defeat Bowser, instead of it being like, oh, I'm going to find this random girl I just found out about. I feel like that's a much better driving force for the movie than, the titular, the princess is here, find her, or she's with Bowser, find the princess. I like it where it's already a character that Mario has an established deep bond with, and so immediately, even though he's in this new world, he wants to find Luigi, and that is his driving force from beginning to end until the final scene where they, defeat Bowser and save the day. Spoiler alert, I guess. The action in this movie, even though it never stops, and we'll talk about this, it just never stops, it was really well done. For those that have not seen the movie, a huge problem with it is its length not doing anything to help it. For those who don't know, this movie is around an hour and a half, 90 minutes long, and it really just feels like this movie, the entire runtime, just has no breathing room, and it just doesn't give us, the audience, any time to truly appreciate any of the characters. The characters were really well done, but man, it feels like they had to make them really well done in order to make the 90 minutes justified, or to justify them making it shorter, where it's like, oh, well, the characters are already well developed and they'll already shine, so we don't need to give them extra runtime because they're already good as they are. But I promise you, if this movie had an extra 10 to 30 minutes, that would have gone a long way to help give these characters more time to shine and just let me love them that much more. As much as I love the characters, and we'll get to that in just a second, it's just, man, I wish there was more time for these characters to grow with each other and have the actual relationships develop, because even though I like the relationships that I've talked about earlier, that's how they are, and except for like Mario and DK, they never change, ever. And again, like Mario and DK, it just grows from they hate each other to DK hates him slightly less. Like it's still, every relationship never really changes, there's no growth. Like Mario and Peach, yeah, yeah, they grow to like become friends, and then, you know, they start to flirt a bit, but they're still just friends. There's no like real character development in the entire movie except for Mario, you know, because he's the hero. He has to go through the hero's journey of finding his inner strength and being the Super Mario singular. On the opposite note, weirdly, the fast pace of this movie helps with the action sequences like a lot. And it's really weird because this especially applies to the fights. And it's weird saying this, but there are multiple fight scenes in the Mario movie, and there's even a point at the end where Mario is like battered and bruised after the fight, and I just wasn't expecting that. I don't know, I was not expecting the Mario movie to have like bruises and black eyes by the end of it. I wasn't expecting that, and I wish that was a joke, but it's not. You know, at the end with the final fight with Bowser, Mario like kind of gets his kicked in a bit, and it's really interesting just because I was like, oh, Super Mario movie, black eyes. Okay, this is what it is now. But the fights in this movie are super fast-paced, and it's like this constant dopamine high of Mario and friends unleashing just a flurry of moves on a bunch of enemies that is super satisfying to watch. It's similar to the Warriors games of like just doing a move to take down a bunch of different enemies, but Mario's just skillfully picking off Goombas and Koopas one by one, and he's just jumping, kicking, punching, and he's just doing all these things, and he's just going boom, 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 and he's just like taking out one by one just super duper fast, and it's just super satisfying to watch as he's ground pounding one guy, using a power up on another guy, and he's just like kicking another one and throwing a Koopa shell at another, and it's just like this constant, like, you know, like the bullet ballet games where it's like it's just you play these games and it's those cutscenes of the guy shooting one guy, killing another guy with the knife, and it's that, but a lot more PG. Weirdly, it reminds me a lot of Rise of the TMNT with their like super fast paced, and it's just this really nice choreography of fight moves and all that jazz. If that makes any sense, and you kind of understand where I'm getting at, if you enjoy that, you're gonna love the action that takes place in this movie, from Mario to Peach and even Luigi to an extent. But again, I'm not gonna go too much into that because that is a little bit of a spoiler, but Luigi gets a bit of a time to shine, and it's really nice. It doesn't make a lot of sense because Mario is shown to do a lot and he trains in this movie, and then Luigi's just like, I can do it too. At the end, they just wanted Mario and Luigi to fight together, and even though Mario had the training sequence, Luigi is just like, yeah, okay. Like, they have to match him up somehow, and you know, that kind of like, it's weird because, you know, Luigi doesn't show up in the movie, and then when he does, it's super cool, but you just wish that he was there more, or at least he had a way to justify why he can just like do the same stuff that Mario does, even though Mario has trained more than him. It's weird, but it's a weird tangent, but I mean, heck, actually, this is a great segue into going into what I want to talk about next, the characters. Like I said, I'm assuming to compensate for the short runtime, they made sure that every character was super explosive and expressive and just really amazing in their performance, except for a few, and we will get to them in just a second, but I want to go into a kind of in order. You'll see. First up, Mario. Dude, in this movie, Mario's just like a guy who wants to succeed and follow his dreams. He wants to succeed with the Super Mario Brothers plumbing. He wants to like rise to the top with his brother, and it's just he's a wholesome boy. He like never gives up, despite his smaller size, which is weirdly a running gag in the entire movie, is that Mario, he's really cool, but no one would expect him to do anything because he's a small guy, and so you don't expect him to do much, and so no one respects him because he's a small man. But another thing about Mario, he loves his brother so much that he will do anything to protect him. And, you know, that's like his whole thing. Him and Luigi just have this bond where they'll do anything to respect each other. They're hooked on each other, the brothers. He's like super acrobatic and like mobile and nimble, like even before he steps foot in the Mushroom Kingdom, which was, you know, honestly really cool to see how he really is someone who is capable to do great things from the very beginning, but, you know, he just needed someone to believe in him and push him forward. And again, you know, we're talking about Super Mario, but still, it was just super cool to see that even in the very beginning of the movie, Mario was capable of doing so much, but he's always a laughingstock, when in reality Mario is like super capable, but is never given the opportunity to do great things. Sorry, that was my dog. Luigi, even though he's barely in the movie, unfortunately. He's just always supportive of his brother, even though sometimes he just straight up humiliates himself by doing so. He's a bit of a scaredy cat, but he always does what's needed when he knows it's the right thing to do. Like, no matter what happens, it's obvious, like in the beginning, he like admits he's a bit of a scaredy cat, but he still is willing to support his brother, no matter how humiliating it is. He knows it's the right thing to do, and further in the movie, when he's actually able to help out Mario, he does so despite the danger, and it's just really nice to see, you know, Luigi actually taking a stand when the time comes. It's really nice, and I really liked it. Charlie Day just, he rocks as Luigi, and it's just, yeah, one of the biggest complaints about this movie is just that Luigi's just kind of there, which is, you know, that's the problem with him being the damsel in distress, and also when you put him in a cage dangling over lava, you immediately make him useless for like most of the movie until he is out of that. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen until the end of the movie. But the parts that he is in, it's always strong. It really feels like Luigi was Charlie Day, like they were just meant for each other. Mario was surprisingly good with Chris Pratt. They really just jibbed the guy when it came to the trailers and how they showed him off in the trailer, because he's actually really, I honestly thought he was really good in the movie. Not perfect, but really good. But Luigi was just, that was just a perfect casting option, and I'm just really happy with how that went. It really makes me want a Luigi's Mansion movie, because I just want Luigi to have more runtime, and I want him to take center stage not because Mario was bad, but because I wanted to see more from Luigi. It was really good. Probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, to like by a pretty long shot. Pretty long shot there. Peach was a really interesting character for me because she's like this badass who has a mysterious past, pretty much just saying she's a human who came into the Mushroom Kingdom and then the Toads raised her. You can tell that this is supposed to be like a sequel bait because they don't go much past it at all. Maybe they won't go more into it. Knowing Shigeru Miyamoto, he hates story. He'll do the bare minimum to have a story in whatever he does. If this actually goes into something where Peach's origins get more looked into, God, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. But outside of that, Peach in this movie is just more than willing to sacrifice herself if it means to protect the kingdom that took her in all those years ago. Like, she's just an amazing character. I was talking about this on stream, and it's hard to say this. It's hard to, like, tiptoe around what I'm trying to say, because I want to make sure I don't sound like a sexist pig. But it's really nice to have a badass, independent female character that is able to do what needs to be done, is willing to be that badass, but also is flawed. Like, she's not a perfect character, and I would say just the same thing with a guy. I don't want a perfect character. You know, like, I just don't want a character to just be perfect and powerful. She's able to be super powerful, super badass, and do what needs to be done, but she's also flawed with her willingness to defend those people, even if it means putting herself on the line, which can lead her to trouble and could lead to her downfall. That's just a really neat thing, and she's just like super thankful, and she owes a debt to the Toads, and she's just really strong, independent, and wants to see that through. Bowser, voiced by the titular Jack Black. Unfortunately, I loved his performance, but if I'm painfully honest, Bowser is just if Jack Black was evil, but also Peach's biggest tier 3 sub. It's not that I hate it, it just feels like it's just Jack Black. You know, and I get it, like, you know, when Jack Black plays Po in Kung Fu Panda, it's just Jack Black. When he is in another movie, I don't know, he plays Jack Black in all the movies that he plays. He's a rock star, he's super loud and it's like emotional, and he's really out there. You hire Jack Black to be Jack Black, and that's fine. It's just, man, I just wish there was a bit more Bowser than just all 90% Jack Black, you know? Maybe that's just me being specific, but it's just like, I loved Jack Black's performance, but man, just wish there was a bit more of the Koopa King, you know? He still did an amazing job. Amazing job, Jackie, if you're not watching this, but good job, Jack man. Toad was a character that I wasn't thinking too much of, but Toad genuinely has his moments in the movie of being just this amazing supportive character, you know, just being that +1 and just adding on to the chaos that is going on in the movie. He loves every second of life, and he's having fun no matter what's going on. He'll just, you know, he's definitely just there to tag along. He's not there to really be the main part of the plot. He's there to add on and add a comedic, like, spice to whatever's going on. Later in the movie, he doesn't really do much, so it really reminds me of, like, Krillin, where Krillin's just there, and, you know, he kind of has his moments in the beginning of, like, Dragon Ball arcs, but then, like, near the end, he's just there to be like, whoa, I'm here, look at Goku, though. He's definitely the Krillin of this movie, but in a really good way. I loved how he was. I just wish he still did what he did in the later parts of the movie, if that makes any sense. Donkey Kong is also like Bowser, where he's pretty much Seth Rogen if he was a college jock that was super cocky. Again, I really like his dynamic with Mario. I think Seth Rogen is probably one of the more divisive roles in this movie, and I agree. It's kind of like, it really is just Seth Rogen if he was Great Ape. I think he does it in a nice way in the relationship that he has with Mario. I enjoyed that enough where I can stand Seth Rogen. It's not that I hate him, but it's like the same situation with Bowser where I just wish it was more Donkey Kong than Seth Rogen. But again, like, Donkey Kong, like, his whole personality is I'm dumb monkey, I'm dumb big burly monkey, and Seth does that, but he does it, plus it's like if you took everything about Donkey Kong and then you added in parentheses, but also he is played by Seth Rogen. And again, you know, what can you do? It's like, it's a similar situation where I wish it was just, I wish they stopped doing gags of like, oh, this character is the voice, this voice actor is playing the character, we need to make a joke about who the voice actor is. Instead of just you know, hey, let's just really just play this character really well, you know? I think the best actor is when you're not seeing that as, oh, I like this character because it's played by this guy. No, it's because this character is good because it is so well played by this person. You don't do it because it is played by this person, but you appreciate the character because of how well they play it, not who they are, if that makes any sense. That's kind of like what you sacrifice when you hire, you know, a bunch of big name actors for the movies, and also can't imagine how expensive that's going to be for future movies. I don't know how big Nintendo's willing to put into this, but it's Illumination we're talking about. They love being cheap with movies, and I'm just going to be impressed if we get like a whole cinematic universe. It's going to happen, probably, but wouldn't surprise me that they have to keep paying like major big bucks to consistently keep all of these voice actors on. I feel like it's going to be cool, but you know, eventually those guys won't want to be those characters anymore, or will probably want more money. I'm not saying they're going to, but there's a chance. So I don't know. That's just really the risk you take with bigger name actors, and I don't know why I'm talking about this with Donkey Kong, but moving on. Cranky Kong is the king of the Kongs and is kind of just there. If that makes any sense, he kind of just exists to be the king of the monkeys. He's pretty fun dialogue-wise, but other than that, the main reason he's there is just so that DK can relate to Mario. Because in this movie, to defile all of what we knew about Mario lore, Cranky Kong in this movie is DK's dad, not his grandpa. He is the dad to DK, and the whole idea is that what Cranky Kong is for the most part is not only is he king of the monkeys, but also he's supposed to be the unapproving father figure that gives DK the anger, and he kind of like, that's why he bullies people, is because he just sees himself as a failure because his dad sees him as a failure, and that's how DK can relate to Mario and be not as much of a rival by the end of the movies, because he relates to Mario, because that's also why Mario, like I said earlier, no one really gives him the opportunity. His family just kind of is unapproving of him, and so it's just like they have like this nice heart-to-heart, which I'm not going to say where or how, but yeah, that's how DK kind of relates to Mario and kind of hates him slightly less in this movie. Is because, you know, they both are like, yeah, our dads f***ing hate us. Cranky is fine, and again, I really like his back and forth with Mario and Peach. I feel like he's fine. Like, he could have just, the voice actor, I mean, I wish the voice actor, I forget his name, but I wish he could just put a bit more personality and energy to it, because in the movie, he's just like, I'm Cranky Kong. Stop that, Diddy Kong. That is my son, Donkey Kong. Like, it's not... And the thing is, apparently, this guy's a really well-known character actor, and so he's really good at, you know, putting that personality into his characters, and so from what I've heard, he could have done better, so I'm just going to say that. But again, what they asked him to do, maybe that's what they asked him to do, maybe that's what he wanted to do, so I'm not going to, like, put that as a critique. It's just, like, it is interesting because it's a weird, like, opposite thing of, like, Bowser and Donkey Kong, where I wish Cranky Kong had a bit more personality added to him. It's weird. I just wish there was more like of a personality in the voice that he had, if that makes any sense. Knowing me and all the voices I do on my streams, again, subscribe to check out the streams. That's just something I thought about. Maybe I'm dead wrong. Chances are that can be the case, but I don't know. And that's what I think about Cranky Kong. Weird that he's one of the longer talks out of all the characters, but that's... Cranky Kong makes me cranky. Grr. Now, Kamek was one that I was looking forward to because the voice actor of Kamek, for those who don't know, is a really, again, another really well-established voice actor. You could have heard him from Avatar, but he was also the Joker in the 2003 Batman series, which is one of my favorites because it was the one I grew up on. But Kamek in this movie, he's really well done, not only because, you know, it doesn't sound, you know, it's actually a character being played by someone. Again, it's what I wish Donkey Kong was like, where it is a good character because it is well done by the actor, not just because it is played by the actor. Kamek in this movie, he essentially does to Bowser what Toad does to Mario, in the sense that he is a very, he's supposed to support the more main character, and the moments that they come in, they just make the moments all that better. Not only is Kamek a powerful wizard and is shown to be a powerful wizard throughout the entire movie, but he is also just a comedic wingman for Bowser. Like, whenever Bowser's talking about, like, marrying Peach, Kamek's like, "You've got this," or like whatever the guy does for the voice, he's like, "The king of the Koopas," or however the guy does it. I cannot do the voice, as you can tell. Whenever he's just there, there's a scene where, like, you know, Bowser proposes to Peach, like, "Will you marry me?" And he does like a quirky, he does like a cringy joke, and Peach is like, "What?" And Bowser's like, "I told you that was a stupid idea." And Kamek just goes, You're killing it. You're doing it." And it was just, when he did that, I laughed a bit, because Kamek, you know, even though he is a villain, he makes the Bowser scenes just even more fun to watch, in my opinion, and he's probably my favorite side character. Toad and Kamek are some of my favorite performances in the movie, just because they add on to the already fun experience that I had, and they were just like the little sprinkles, and, you know, you see the sprinkles and you're like, "Ooh, I like the sprinkles." I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but if you know me, I like making analogies, so sue me, what can you do me? Finally, from what I can tell, of all, like, the celebrity, you know, the ones of, like, the original announcement of the voice actors, Foreman Spike, that motherfucker did not need to exist. Honestly, it was really cool seeing that such a niche reference was getting a role, but I'm telling you, all he does is just be the real-world bully for the bros. So, like, you know, you got Donkey Kong, you got Bowser in the Mushroom Kingdom, but Mario and Luigi, they're you know, they live in Brooklyn, and then they get transported to the Mushroom Kingdom. All Foreman Spike does in this movie is just bully Mario and Luigi in the beginning of the movie, and he's like, "Oh, you guys used to work for me," and that's it. That's like the whole performance. It's like you could literally take him out of the movie and save money on the cameo, and I would care. I could not care less about Foreman Spike in this movie, and it's so weird because, like, you know, when we heard Foreman Spike's being in the Mario movie, that's a weird thing. I wonder what they're gonna do with them, and it's like they barely do anything with him. And here's the thing, this is nothing against the actor by literally any means. I just really did not see the point. If it was just, I don't know, it's just, I don't see the point. If all they did for him was just, "Hi, I'm Foreman Spike. I used to bully you." Like, there's a Pauline cameo in the movie where Pauline is the mayor of Brooklyn. She exists for one scene, and that's it. But, like, they hyped up Foreman Spike to such a degree where it's like, well, he didn't do anything, so now why did you have to announce that Spike was a thing? Like, you could have done the exact same thing for Pauline. You could have been like, "And Pauline is voiced by this voice actress. Can't wait to see her." And then she does that one scene, and it would have been the exact same thing, where it was like, okay, why did you need to, like, make such a big deal out of Pauline being a thing? It is cool because of the Foreman Spike announcement, there's been, like, a lot of really cool art and fan comics of Mario and Luigi's days working at the Wrecking Crew with Spike, and that's, like, really cool on Twitter. I wish I knew the artist. Editing Gab put it up on the screen of, like, their Twitter handle to go check them out. They have a Patreon. Support an amazing artist, especially because they're doing Mario stuff. That is a joke. It's just nice to see that even though, you know, I could literally care less about this character, they inspired artists to actually give Spike the depth that I would have actually wanted from him if they wanted to make such a big deal out of him in this movie. Form and Spike could have benefited the most from having the movie, or from giving the movie more runtime, like that extra 10 to 30 minutes. Like, give Spike more depth than anything. Donkey Kong a little bit more. Give the Kongs a bit more. Give the Kongs a bit more time in the oven, but definitely Form and Spike. Give us a bit more of that Brooklyn. Give us more Brooklyn. What are you doing, you know? If you agree with me, put hashtag justice for Spike in the comments, because if you're watching this far, comment with the video and interact with it. That helps out just as much as subscribing, I promise you. If you want to support this channel, comment to the video. Comment about your dog. Tell me about your dog. You can tell I'm running out of things to say. Moving on, that's all I wanted to say about the characters. Overall, I really did like the characters in this movie. They're full of emotion, full of expression throughout this movie. Definitely, I have some favorites like Toad and Kamek, which is weird. Cranky Kong, I did enjoy, but could be better. Form and Spike, don't care much about. There's some interesting conversations to be had with, like Bowser and Donkey Kong. I'm not saying that in that they are bad characters, but it's just fascinating to see just how much these characters were like, oh, this character, his personality is that he's played by Jack Black, instead of this character is played really well and is done really well by this person. Like, regardless of who they are, they're done really well. They're still done really well, but I feel like, you know, word of mouth is that these people are going to do really well. And again, nothing against Jack Black, nothing against Seth Rogen, whoever, like all of these voice actors, they all did amazing jobs. I just wish that the characters, the actual characters that they were playing, took up a bit more of who the character was in this movie. But again, this is coming from a huge Nintendo nerd who's played Nintendo games since they were born. So, of course, I'm going to have that opinion. So, screw me. I don't know. Moving from the characters, the music in this movie was just, it was great. I love the music in this movie, but it is definitely off in some places, and we'll get to that in just a second. But the music made for the Mario movie, but it's especially the song that Jack Black, you know, Jack Black was going to sing about Peach as Bowser. Everyone knew that was going to happen. Like, you don't cast Jack Black and not have him sing a love ballad for the girl that his character's trying to fall in love with. You know, like, you don't do that. You don't not do that. And so, you know, it's inevitable that this song would happen, but like all of the music made for this movie, but especially the inevitable Jack Black song, it's just amazing. And every song, you know, except for Jack Black's, but every song in this movie has just a bunch of hidden Easter eggs to like all sorts of Mario games. Apparently there's like some Luigi's Mansion motifs, or when Bowser is like playing the piano and him and Kamek are talking about like what's going on, and Kamek's like telling him about Mario. Bowser is doing the dun 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 dun, and then Kamek will just go like you're collecting coins. That was just so cute. It was just full of small motifs and all these different Easter eggs to like Mario's just full history. I heard some Mario Galaxy. Of course, there's some original Mario Bros, Mario Bros 3. I heard some Mario Bros 2, even a little bit of Mario World. Just a little bit. You know, if you paid attention to just the music, that's just an experience in and of itself of just listening to the music and trying to find all the Easter eggs. Because Mario has such a deep music history with all the games it did, all the different kinds of games it did. And man, like, it just shows, because all the music is so well done and just beautifully done orchestrally. I don't know if I've said it before on this channel, but orchestral video game soundtracks are like my lifeblood. That is my favorite video game soundtrack, is if you can just make an amazing big band orchestral soundtrack. Mario Odyssey, Mario Galaxy, Dragon Quest XI, some of my favorite video games of all time, based on the music alone. Love those games to death. And here's when it gets interesting, because there are times when the movie will just, out of nowhere, use random-ass 80s songs for stuff like brief showings of the landscape, or for training montages of Mario getting better and, you know, learning his skills and honing him up. It's like out of nowhere, you'll just hear like the, I need a hero, or when they explore Donkey Kong's village, it's like Take On Me, and they're just like, oh, I'm just immediately taken out of the atmosphere of this world, because I guess it's Illumination, and they just want old song equal nostalgia equal more money, more people like old song, more people watch movie. That's like, it feels like so much of like Illumination's work is, most of our stuff is just going to be use popular song make money. Like, they think that just works. And it's ridiculous, because here's the thing. The music that they do have for the movie, it shows, obviously, that Mario's music history is vast and rich enough that you can just purely rely on the Mario OST, you make that into the Mario track, and, you know, have the Jack Black song. But you can have the Mario music, Jack Black song, and just rely on those. I promise you the Mario soundtrack is good enough to just make the entire movie Mario music, instead of relying on music that isn't related, guess what, to the thing that you're making the movie out of. When you watch this movie and you get the amazing soundtrack of all the Easter eggs and all the little motifs of the different games, and then out of nowhere it's just, take on me. It's just so dumb. It just yoinks you out of the immersion. It yoinks you out of the mushroom world just so that you can hear the 80s song that people like. And it's just dumb. I'm sorry. That's why I don't like the Sonic movie, because you're there to see Sonic the Hedgehog. You're not there to go to a wedding and just watch a marital, like, drama happen. You're there to see Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's, you know, this is like a different complaint for a different movie, but it's the same thing. I'm here to see Mario, and I'm here to hear the Mario music, not some random-ass 80s song that is popular, maybe. That's not why you're here to watch the movie. So don't do that. But again, Nintendo fan, what do I know? One thing that I did want to add, because of what currently is, thankfully, the only Mario movie drama, totally, there's no other Mario movie drama going on that we're totally not going to talk about in the movie, the DK rap plays. You know, the famous, like, and then there's Chunky, he's dead. But the actual song, it is a classic in both meme culture and Nintendo history. They used it for Donkey Kong in that Smash Brothers-esque, like, fight scene of Mario and Donkey Kong. The original composer and, like, creator of that song, Grant Kirkhope, has, like, no credit whatsoever for the song. Literally in the credits, it says DK Rap from Donkey Kong 64. And that just hurts. Imagine being credited and, you know, having your name on a motion picture because you made a song that was so popular, it got to be used in, like, one of the biggest pieces of, like, video game media that isn't video games, and, like, get that recognition. You know, that would be really cool. So, Grant Kirkhope, I know you're not watching this, but that just sucks, man. I'm sorry. Hopefully, in future releases of this movie, that credit is given to Grant, because, man, that just fucking sucks. I'm sorry. Grant doesn't deserve that, dude. Grant deserves so much more. He's an amazing artist. Go, like, look him up. He remade the Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack, and it's really good. Go check out Grant Kirkhope. He's Family Jewels' dad. The visuals and animation in this movie, again, this is based on opinion, but I thought that the visuals looked really, really good. I thought they were really high quality, and, you know, there's a small thing. I feel like the movie has, like, this less egregious form of Detective Pikachu syndrome, where the more realistic graphics look a bit weird when they're still trying to keep, like, you know, the cartoony anatomy of the human Mario characters like Mario, Luigi, Peach. You know, it's a little weird seeing more, like, high quality graphics on a more cartoony looking character. Just seeing flesh on a differently, like, shaped human, you know, not in the sense of, like, body shaming, but in the sense of, like, a more cartoony design, you know, weirder proportions of, like, arms and like the anatomy. It looks off-putting at the beginning. And again, this is, like, no one's talking about this, so I know that this is just me, you know, saying it for the sake of saying it, but let it be known, after watching it, it really doesn't matter. You know, you just accept that that is what it is, and that's what happens. But it is, like, a genuine thing that I just think is interesting, because I know some people don't like the graphics of the Mario movie, and that's why a lot of people hate it. And it's like, people are saying it's, like, subpar graphics and subpar stuff like that. But man, I don't know how you can say it looks bad. Again, I know I'm a Mario fan, I'm gonna defend it, and I have a bias, but man, how can you say it looks bad? Other than that, the backgrounds and all the characters, they look really good, with really nice and crisp visuals that make the simple act of looking at the movie a real joy to do. The movements and animation in this movie were really cool. All the fights in the movie are just, again, really smooth, full of references to Mario's moveset, and just the constant ebb and flow of how Mario fights, and just the constant action. It's just, there's never really a moment to stop. and it's just like this constant like acid trip of action, 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 that it's really fun. It just feels like everything in this movie is full of personality and character, and man, that was just really relieving to me, considering Illumination's track record with this sort of thing with animation. Again, Illumination has out loud said that they want to be an animation studio that is as cheap as humanly possible. And, you know, when you find out that they're going to be doing a movie based on a franchise that means so much to you, that doesn't fill you with confidence. I don't know what they were thinking when they said that. Like, business-wise, it's like, oh yeah, you know, that's good. Like, I can invest in you because you're going to be, you know, conscious of costs. But literally to anybody that wants to, like, watch your movies, they're just like, why are you not spending a lot of money? Like, why are you? It just sounds like you're being cheap. But in this movie, it really feels like they pulled all the stops. But then again, they're kind of filing out of Daddy Nintendo's pockets. So I think they were a little more frugal with their spending of like investing into this movie. And I'm fine with that because it's a pretty movie, and that's all I wanted. There's a lot of things I wanted, but it's a good movie. Character designs are cool. I liked it. Yes. This is the big thing that I feel everybody's talking about, at least on Twitter. So granted, who knows how many people would actually talk about this in real life, but all things considered, here is a hot take that I know people like Woodhawker, they were talking about it on the Nintendo podcast. Go watch that and just check out the Nintendo podcast. They're a bunch of cool guys. All things considered, both the critics and the audience scores, they make perfect sense, and here's why. So for those who don't know, a big worry leading up to the Mario movie was its pretty low performance when it came to critic scores. Metacritic and Rotten Tomato, they gave it around like 50 to 60%, which is like middle. When you look at the actual spread, it is like 1/3 positive, 1/3 mixed, 1/3 negative. Like, it is the definition of splitting the room. Like, it was weird to me because even Nintendo Life, a Nintendo like news site and YouTube channel that I follow regularly, they gave the movie a 6 out of 10 as well, having a fair amount of complaints in regards to the pacing and its okay writing. Quick update to this actually, as of editing this, they had another video where 2 more people of the YouTube channel staff that they have there at Nintendo Life, they talked about the movie alongside the original YouTube personality that they had on their team, and those 2 had a much more positive opinion on the overall movie compared to the original person that they had making the video. It just shows how split you can be on this movie, and I'm gonna get more into that in just a second, so just understand that I did know that there is another video that they made, and yes, if anything, it just proves my point even more. When you look at the user ratings of the movie, well, actually, you know, let's do a quick little live action thing. Let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. The Super Mario Bros. Movie critic review, 54%, but the audience score is 96. Everybody that's watching this movie that isn't a critic loves it. Like, they love this movie. And again, this is opinions on a movie. It's baffling and just really interesting to look at and just, you know, just think about without immediately saying critic bad, we right. Because honestly, this difference in scores is the perfect example, I feel, for what the Mario movie is. If you look at this movie with a true critical lens, you peel back the layers of references, callbacks to the games, and you just see the movie as a movie. Not a Mario movie, not a video game movie, but a movie. When you look at that, its plot is pretty copy-paste of the typical hero's journey. It is a hero, no one respects the hero, low beginnings. Something happens to initiate the hero to start their journey, with it being Mario, you know, losing Luigi and having to find him. Hero is not good at first, but through time he becomes better and better and better, to the point where, you know, they have one giant altercation, they think they're going to save the day, something bad happens, they hit rock bottom, but then they remember why they're doing it, why they're fighting, and then it propels them to defeat the big bad at the end of the day. That is what happens, and that's not like spoiling anything. That's literally like the plot structure of the movie, as like not descriptive as it can get. And that is what, like, if you watch any movie, you can copy paste that to almost every single movie that exists. Sometimes that is in different orders, sometimes it's flip-flopped, sometimes it's reversed. Maybe a movie's done that, I don't know. Like I've said before, the characters have just like no time to breathe or ever develop, except for Mario and Donkey Kong, which I've talked about a bit before. But again, that barely makes a change in their character dynamic. Outside of game references, there's nothing outside of these like 80s pop songs for people to enjoy from this movie. Again, if you're not a Mario fan, if you're not a Nintendo fan, which, you know, if you're not as much of a Mario fan, but you're going there because, you know, you want to support Nintendo, like, if you're not like super into Mario and you're not there for like all the references and you're not there for all of that, like maybe, shall we say a parent, you know, a parent that's like there because their child likes Mario and you have to go there with your kid, you might really hate this movie, all things considered. I can see that if you are not going into this as a hardcore Mario fan, it will be really easy for you to not enjoy this movie. But for those that are going into this with a love for Mario and are there to just see the Wahoo Man and his friends go on an adventure full of callbacks and amazing music, you're gonna love the absolute buzzy Beatles out of this. This is my favorite movie of all time because personally, this really felt, and it's, you know, call it cringe, whatever you want to call it, but it really felt like, as a big Nintendo fan since a kid, and that being one of like my only real interests in life, this really felt like a movie made for me. It really felt like it was a movie made for the kids that played Mario since they were really young, and, you know, they get hooked on the brothers and they never looked back. This feels like a movie made for them. At least it did to me. When you're going into that, you're just going in there to watch the Mario movie. You're not going in there to find like a meaning or to like dive deep into the plot of the movie. You're there to see Mario go on an adventure, and you're not going to consider much. If you're going in there for that, this is going to be the exact movie for you. This is not a movie, you know, again, this movie is not going to be for a lot of people. But you can see in that Rotten Tomatoes score, again, it could be vastly different by the time you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, in the future, in the past. How? You can tell that that is why the critic reviews are so different, and both are extremely valid. Except for the extremely negative ones, I think they just really hate Mario for some reason. They just really don't like video games and are just sick and tired of having to they're just really sick and tired of having to review video game movies, and they're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna say it's worse than the 1990s movie because I just want to make a kid in a red hat cry. You know, if you're going into this considering it to be like a deep piece of like movie literature and it's deep and vast, like if you're going into that, you're not going to enjoy it. I'm not saying that you're not valid for wanting that out of a Mario movie, but at the same time, it is a movie about Mario going on adventures. Mario games are never really full of story, and when they are, they're not done by Shigeru Miyamoto, and guess who is making the movie? It is a really good Mario movie, in my opinion, as a Mario fan. Again, with that very biased opinion of mine, I think it's a really good Mario movie, and it's one of my favorite movies, not because it's a good movie, but because it portrays the Mushroom Kingdom, it portrays Mario, Luigi, all of the quirky cast. It did it really well to the point where I was smiling, and at the end of the day, it was just a fun movie. It was one of the best movies I've ever watched, because I had so much fun watching it. I recommend for those that just want a fun movie to watch and want to watch Bing Bing Wahoo, this movie will be exactly what you're looking for. That's what I think about the Mario movie in a much more coherent thought process compared to the stream I did a few days ago. If you want to watch that one regardless, the stream is available under the live section in my channel. It will be there with chapters of like kinda what happens in the stream. Hopefully this can provide a much more structured idea of what I think. As you can tell, I love this movie and I just really wanted to give my thoughts on it justice while also being, you know, honest and having an actual conversation, one-sided, I do see that, but an actual conversation about the difference in the scores. It's a really fascinating showing of how powerful a source material alone can carry a film to fans despite everything else about it being realistically a bit flimsy. There's more Mario than actual movie, but again, if you're looking for Mario, then you're gonna have an amazing movie, but if you're looking for the movie, you're not gonna have a good time. And I just find that to be so painfully obvious in the review scores, and I just find that to be such a fascinating topic to talk about and, you know, look deeper into than just, man, the critics are stupid, I'm the correct one. You know, and I feel like that's hard to do nowadays on the internet, but there's nuance more often than you think. I'm just happy that I'm able to kind of talk about it and do it in a good sense of mind and not try to play Mario Galaxy while I do it. So again, I hope you enjoy this and enjoy this much more structured form of my opinions on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I hope you enjoyed this, and please consider subscribing to see what else I have cooking up in the future. But as always, the next time I see ya, I will see ya.